The Clean Air Act of 1970 is regarded as the most comprehensive air pollution control bill in American history. It was a response in large part to the American public's urgent call for action to address what it saw as an environmental state of emergency. And it was the product of a strong and committed bipartisan effort in Congress. The consensus was overwhelming. It was time to place the protection of our air, water, and land on the forefront of our national agenda. What was the foundation for that commitment? How and why did it come about? And most important, what can we learn from it? The popular environmental movement began in the 1960s. Scientist and writer Rachel Carson published Silent Spring in 1962. The controversial book, along with a number of other high-profile events, served to rouse public awareness toward a wide range of human health and environmental issues. But perhaps no event gained more attention as effectively and dramatically as Earth Day. On April 22, 1970, 20 million people mobilized for the first nationwide demonstrations on environmental problems. Congress adjourned for the day so members could attend Earth Day events in their districts. The response was nothing short of remarkable. What's more, it came at a time when members of the Senate were considering what to do about the nation's poor air quality. Earth Day helped to build political momentum for a tough new law. Democratic Senator Edmund Muskie of Maine was at the helm of the Air and Water Pollution Subcommittee. He had little doubt that passage of clean air legislation would be a formidable challenge, given the reluctance of President Richard Nixon and the all-out resistance of industry. Congress, too, posed something of a hurdle. Many members still weren't convinced of the need for a national strategy to control pollution. But Chairman Muskie found a strong ally in Republican Senator Howard Baker of Tennessee. Although Senator Baker disliked the idea of regulating private industry, he was convinced that federal standards and federal action were the only way to bring about genuine improvements in air quality. Senator Baker sided with Chairman Muskie on an emissions control approach to pollution, in which Congress was charged with setting the standards. At the insistence of Chairman Muskie, the standards were based on hard science, not economics, not politics. Democratic Senator Tom Eagleton supported the Muskie-Baker plan. However, he was skeptical of the grand promises that Congress and the President so often made. He believed the American people deserved to know when they could expect results. To accommodate Senator Eagleton's concerns, deadlines for government action were incorporated into the law, and many of those government actions were made mandatory rather than permissive. Senator Baker went along with the idea of deadlines, but he had his reservations. Did industry actually have the technology capable to meet them? General Motors President Edward Cole answered the question for him. Noting his company's progress with the catalytic converter, Cole provided assurance that the anti-pollution device could be installed in every new car made in just a few years. Senator Baker was convinced, so much so that the Muskie-Baker plan now included the concept of technology forcing. That is, standards would be set so as to force industry to develop and employ the best technology that was available to them. At this point, the Muskie-Baker plan was widely accepted. The team had gone the additional mile to give citizens, environmental organizations, and state agencies the authority to bring lawsuits against violators to ensure that the provisions of the Act were implemented and enforced over the years. The Clean Air Act of 1970 was truly groundbreaking, covering territory that had never before been legislated. And yet, when put before the full Senate, the bill passed unanimously. No one would claim that the Clean Air Act of 1970 achieved all of its ambitious objectives. Deadlines had to be extended. Technology did not always keep pace, and polluters often worked to frustrate the law first rather than comply with it, thus wasting precious time and hindering progress. But the real success of the Clean Air Act is that it served as a model for future legislation. It moved environmental protection concerns to a prominent position on the national agenda, where, by and large, they have remained ever since. Perhaps it was the climate of the times. Perhaps it was something in the water, or the air for that matter. Whatever was behind the momentum, the passage of the Clean Air Act of 1970 demonstrates what can be achieved when compromise, concession, and consensus dictate. When different viewpoints are valued and respected, and when parties and politics are put aside, and decisions are made based on what is in the best interest of the country as a whole.